Good evening, everybody. Maxime Bernier is tweeting, quote, Rempel is aiming for middle ground on immigration between, as she says, quote, the Liberals and the far-right parties. She considers PPC and 49% of Canadians who want lower immigration, quote, far-right. Centrist Conservatives will keep the status quo or increase immigration, but less than Liberals. Here's the link to the tweet, and we'll look at the article. Here's all the links. I'll be in the description. National Post is reporting, quote, Tory immigrant critic Michelle Rempel aims for middle ground between Liberals and Bernier. They face challenges from the left and right. Liberals hardened their positions on asylum seekers while the People's Party has capitalized on anti-immigrant sentiment. I want to speak to that specifically as a president of an EDA and a potential candidate. I have to say that the People's Party is hardly anti-immigrant. We're just saying from the point of immigration, it needs to work economically for Canada, and the people need to be vetted the way they were prior to 2015. I think that's reasonable. I don't think anybody would call those policies anti-immigrant. Those would be called common sense policies. If you invite somebody to live in your country, you want to know who they are. You want to make sure they've been vetted properly. You want to make sure there's a path to integration for them, for their family, for their kids, and their whole family down the line. Because that's the goal. Welcome to Canada, right? My goodness, I'm a first-generation Canadian. And my dad, what he wanted was for us to be Canadian. That was a very important thing for him. So, I never questioned whether or not I was Canadian. I was Canadian. I am Canadian. And so this anti-immigrant push for the People's Party is false and silly and ridiculous and ignores the reality of the situation. 250,000 people per year over 4 years. 4 years is 1 million people. The level the Liberals are pushing is 1 million over 3. 330, right? Times 3 years, that's 1 million people. 250 times 4 years, that's 1 million people. Bernier has said, or less, 250 or less. However, I just want to point out how similar these policies are. We're arguing over a year. And claiming that that's anti-immigrant is not true. Okay, back to the article, or here's the article. Conservative immigrant critic Michelle Rempel told reporters on Thursday that she wants Canada's immigration system to run, quote, seamlessly, quietly, and efficiently as she tried to build a narrative that the Tories will deliver a common-sense approach to immigration in the face of polarizing rhetoric from the left and the far right. The far right? Really? This is me again. How can you say that it's far right? The policy is 1 year less for the same amount of people. How is that anti-immigrant? Moira? Miss Forrest? Really? I would love an explanation. I don't understand how you can level these accusations at the People's Party when it's a ridiculous accusation. Anyway, it's so ridiculous. It's frustrating. Anyway, back to the article. It was the latest example of the tightrope the Conservatives are trying to walk on immigration, criticizing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for what they see as a lax approach to irregular asylum seekers, read illegal border crossers, back to the article, while insisting they won't pander to those who want a hardline attitude to immigrants and refugees. Quote, as our leader Andrew Scheer has made clear, there is no home in the Conservative Party for anti-immigrant or racist sentiment, Rempel said. Anyone who harbors those beliefs does not have a political home in our movement. Back to me again. Bernier said the same thing. Back to the article. The Conservatives face challenges on immigration from the left and right. The Liberals have recently hardened their position on asylum seekers, burying a new measure in the latest budget bill that would make it more difficult for some would-be refugees to make asylum claims in Canada. I'm going to pause again. Ahmed Hassan said, we have to stop asylum shopping. Ahmed Hassan said that. I had a link, and I'm not going to provide it because I'm really bad at going back and providing links, but Ahmed Hassan, when this omnibus budget bill came in, and that means they didn't debate every line in the bill, so you don't get to talk about certain things, and this was one of them. And part of this bill is saying if you already got a claim in another country, you don't get to stay, we will reject you right away, which is what a lot of people were asking for anyway. And people would say, no, they have to get a hearing. They need to be seen by a judge. That's what the UN says. Well, wonderful, but they're breaking the law. So if they break the law, the UN can sanction Canada all the UN wants. Realistically, we need to control our borders. So having a mechanism in place to say yeah, no, you're not a refugee. You're coming from a safe country, and you do not qualify here, and you will not stay here and suck taxpayers' money. It just makes no sense. It's insanity. Back to the article. On the right, People's Party leader Maxime Bernier has been capitalizing on anti-immigrant sentiment. Has he? Promising to substantially reduce the number of immigrants Canada accepts each year. Really? Again, 3 years for 1 million under the Liberals' plan, 4 years for 1 million under Bernier's plan. And Bernier's plan is the least immigrants, period, of any plan. It seems like you're arguing over a very, very small, minuscule change. And one that really doesn't, it's not necessary to up it, to increase the immigration levels, because the people that we're bringing in are not the people who we're being told are needed to fill the holes that are being created by retiring workers. The people we're bringing in are sick and old and not capable of doing the jobs that are being vacated. So, like, again, right? If you say one thing and then do another, I'm going to go make dinner. And then you walk in and they're sitting on the couch watching a TV with a beer. What are you doing? Oh, well, I was going to make dinner, but what? Right? You're going to get in trouble. And that's exactly what's going on here. Anyway, back to the article. Maybe that's a bad analogy. Back to the article. The Conservatives are trying to carve out a space in the middle. And on Thursday, Rempel attempted to position them as a party interested in process over politics. Quote, every time we try to raise valid criticisms on policy, Trudeau has chosen to use debate about the immigration system to level thinly veiled accusations on racism, she said. This is a dangerous, cynical political tactic. The Conservatives first unveiled their immigration policies last August, including an overhaul of Canada's temporary foreign worker program that would give low-skilled workers a permanent path to residency. The party also promises... Actually, I'm gonna note here, this is what Michelle Rempel blocked me over, because I said to her, why are you offering a path to citizenship with... And there was a whole bunch in the tweet, but it was a genuine question. I wasn't trying to troll her, and she just blocked me. I was like, oh, all right, fine, that's weird. But anyway, it was over that press conference. I remember it very clearly, because I said, here's what you said, and what do you mean? And she was very upset. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The party also promises to close the loophole in the Safe Third Country Agreement that has allowed more than 40,000 asylum seekers to cross the Canadian border illegally in the past 2 years, though it hasn't explained how. And me again, I know I keep chopping this up, but me again, the Liberals have already fixed this problem. The omnibus budget bill is passed, and so there's a mechanism in place that we can bounce them back. I don't know if they are being bounced back at this point in time, if they've found claims and people have been ejected because of the new Liberal rule, the anti-asylum shopping rule, to quote Ahmed Hassan, our immigration minister. But it has been tabled, and if the budget's passed, I would presume that the mechanism is also passed. If not, well, I mean, it's not like the Conservatives to explain how they're going to do anything, really, right? There's a reason that people flocked to Justin Trudeau in 2015, and it was because they didn't like the Conservative government. People were sick and tired of the Conservative government, and again, I say there's a reason. And it's because the Liberals and the Conservatives are two sides of the same coin. They do exactly the same thing. People are sick of exactly the same policies and exactly the same politics. It doesn't matter what you vote for, this is what you get. It's frustrating. Back to the article. Rempel says the Conservatives would also discuss a global safe third country system with G7 countries, which would presumably further limit the ability of asylum seekers to enter Canada. Who's alt-right now? Right? Who's limiting people's ability to get into Canada now? Conservative Party of Canada? I mean, really, like, what kind of hypocrisy is this? In some ways, you're allowed to talk about bringing the levels down, but not in other ways. How dare you peg a number? That's alt-right. So if the Conservatives decide that 250 is their number, are they also alt-right? And are there no legitimate parties then that you could vote for other than the Conservatives or the NDP? Or maybe the Greens? Come on, really? Do you expect anybody to believe that trash? And this is the problem with the left. They're overusing their use of Nazi. Everybody's a Nazi. He's a Nazi. She's a Nazi. They're a Nazi. You're a white supremacist Nazi. You're a racist. It doesn't work anymore. I mean, you can get called racist, but we need to have the conversation. The number's going to have to get picked. Somebody's not going to put a blindfold on and throw a dart at a dartboard and go, oh, well, I guess it's 800,000. It doesn't work that way. We have to talk about it, and we have to decide as a country. Sticking your fingers in your ear and going la 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 doesn't work. Calling names doesn't work. Ridiculous. But the Tories have not said how many immigrants they would allow into the country each year, even as the Liberals plan to increase the number to 350,000 in 2021. And Bernier promises to cut it to 250, down from the 2019 target of 330,000. Instead, Rempel simply said her party would make the process for determining immigration levels more transparent and would consult more with the provinces. I know it's not the sexy soundbite answer, but again, this is where I really feel like immigration should be a process that runs seamlessly, quietly, and efficiently, she said, and that's where we've departed in this country over the last 4 years. Actually, I think the question was, how many people are you going to let in? And you should give an answer rather than tap dancing around it by saying, I know that's not the sexy soundbitey answer, but we're going to talk about it? We're going to figure it out? No. The provinces need a number to plan. Not give us a number and maybe we'll figure it out and maybe we'll get back to you in 6 months after, you've blown through your deadlines needing this information for your next year's plan. Like, talk about inefficient. We're going to consult with the provinces, right when we get in there, and then we'll have an idea of how many immigrants we need. Come on. Ineffective, inefficient, ineffectual leadership is what Canada has been saddled with Trudeau. Do we need to vote in another weak leader who's unwilling to even pick a number for immigrants for fear of being called names by the newspaper? Oh no. Don't call me names. Back to the article. Rempel herself has not been exactly quiet on immigration and has arguably contributed to the heated rhetoric on the issue. The Conservatives were quick to label the spike of irregular asylum seekers, illegal border crossers, coming into Canada since the U.S. President Donald Trump's 2016 election a crisis. And Rempel claims Trudeau had, quote, failed to defend the integrity of our system. Actually, National Post, Mr. Trump used his presidential powers to limit travel due to terrorist threats from specific countries. And then the press lost their minds and called it a Muslim ban. And then Justin Trudeau tweeted, welcome to Canada, we'll welcome you when other intolerant people won't. Clearly a dig at Trump, the leader of our largest trading partner, sparking off the biggest cross-border, illegal border crossing Canada has ever seen. Could you maybe report accurately? That's just off the top of my head. I don't have any links, National Post. I'm sure you would have a higher standard than that. But that's to say that that's the cause and the issue here is my goodness, misrepresenting it is being kind. Back to the article. Scheer, too, has been accused of hypocrisy on immigration. In February, he was criticized for speaking at the United We Roll rally, a protest against policies on resource development. Right. It had nothing to do with immigration. That has also become a platform for xenophobia, says the the National Post. But has it? They try and paint the yellow vest as white supremacy. They try and paint all of these things as well. I mean, here's a couple of articles, and well, there's one and there's another one here, but it doesn't really matter. They keep trying to paint anything that goes against the narrative as a white supremacist, or even questioning, even giving a number as alt-right. And I mean, that's just, it's not true. And it shouldn't be accepted. I had a bunch of other things to look at, but I've gone really long on this first story. So I'm actually going to just leave it here tonight. And really, this election is a stark choice. The Liberals and the Conservatives look like they represent pretty much the same thing. Andrew Scheer is going to continue pretty well the policies that Justin Trudeau has pushed into place. And he's not being bold in talking about what he's going to do to fix it. Cutting the GST on home heating isn't going to do it. Repealing the carbon tax is just a start. We need to really fix the structural problems that are affecting Canada. Let's fix the trade between provinces. Let's fix the equalization payments. Let's fix all of the structural stuff that has been left to fester under this insufferable government. Just terrible. Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. I apologize I only got to the one here, but this is my usual length, and if I did any more, I'd spiral to 25 minutes or something crazy. No good. Okay, have a wonderful evening. Check out the People's Party of Canada.ca. Thanks for watching.